The definition of identity is the fact of being who or what a person or thing is. But my question to you today is, who or what determines what that identity is? We've all heard the negative labels placed upon people, right? She's so stupid. He's just an ass. She's shy. He doesn't apply himself. What a slut. Yeah. Maybe these things have been said about you. I've been there. Or maybe you've been the person saying it. I've been guilty of that too. And then I started to dig a little bit deeper. What if that makes me the person? You know, what gives me that right to say that about somebody? I don't know what they've been through. I don't know what struggles they're facing. I don't know what struggles they're facing right now. What if we took a step back and instead of thinking what's wrong with them, we flipped the script and we started asking what happened to them? So I started spreading this message that I thought was brilliant and ingenious, and then Oprah comes out with a friggin' book called What Happened to You? I mean, really? So I did what any other person would do. I read it, yeah. But she teamed up with this child psychiatrist and neuroscientist named Dr. Bruce Perry. And they talk about how what happened to you in early childhood influences who you become. Did you know that a child who experiences abuse, neglect, any kind of trauma, witnesses it, a minority child who is mistreated by a majority community, the brain reacts. It makes associations between the certain features, the smell of an abuser, between a song that was playing at the time, between a sound that might have happened during that experience, and fear. And it continues into an adulthood without the person even realizing it, but reacting. Reacting in anger, reacting in silence and compliance, reacting in overeating, overdrinking, reacting in overactive sexual behavior. Dr. Perry points to a recent study by the National Survey of Children's Health that says that nearly 50% of children in the U.S. have had at least one significant traumatic experience. And a 2019 study from the CDC says that nearly 60% of American adults have had at least one adverse childhood experience. Perhaps you're one of them. I am. When I was in the 5th grade, there were a few people who thought it was okay to take the innocence away from a young girl for years, to the point where I thought it was normal. And then one day, it stopped. Not because someone came to rescue or protect me, but because I saw an ad on TV telling me that it was not okay. And I said no. I was in the 4th grade. But I never knew how much of an impact those memories placed in the back of my head, in my brain, would have on my everyday life. How I let boys, even men, take advantage of me in high school. How I never stood up for myself in my career. How it was difficult for me to show love to my own husband and children. So why do I tell you this? Well, it's because there may be that one person listening, watching, who can relate. And I'm here to tell you it's going to be okay. Oprah said in her book, "Your past is not an excuse, but it is an explanation." And it can take years to figure that out. How do you overcome trauma? Well, you may never overcome it, but you can learn to control it. My trauma turned me into a people pleaser. Yeah, I was the one who took on extra jobs, extra shifts, came in early, worked late. I was that mom whose kid was just left waiting on the stoop for his mama to come get him. That was my son. Oh. And my daughter, when she was in preschool, she came home with this beautiful picture of an airplane. And in that airplane were 3 smiling faces. And at the time, they don't know how to write, so they tell the teacher what they want to write at the bottom, and the teacher writes it for them. And sure enough, at the bottom of this beautiful airplane were the words, "My family's going on vacation. My mommy can't come because she has to work." Oh, I mean, talk about a reality check. So I learned to say no. just like I did in 4th grade. I learned to set boundaries, and I learned to walk away from a job to benefit my own mental health. I found forgiveness. Forgiveness for those who hurt me. Forgiveness for those who turned a blind eye, because I knew that they were doing the best they could with what they had at the time. But that doesn't mean that what happened to me was okay. What it means is that I stopped believing that the past could have or should have been different. Instead of turning to food when I was depressed, I started stepping back, recognizing that feeling, pushing through that fear by staying in the present. And I did that by finding a rhythm that soothed me. Instead of turning to the junk food, which was all good and dandy, I turned to exercise and food that made me feel good. I turned to music. I turned to dancing. And let me tell you, Mateo's got some moves you don't know about the Cabbage Patch, right? Come on now. And I found comfort in laughter and making people smile. That's something I did here in New York on TV for nearly 20 years. And let me tell you, I went the extra mile, okay? From swimming with the sharks to standing in the globe of death at the circus to I can't even tell you how many water slides and roller coasters I've been on, all on live TV. Yeah, it was a little bit crazy. And I'm learning to not be afraid to love. And I'm learning to push past that belief that I deserve to be happy to understanding that I am worthy of happiness. It's going to take time, and it's not easy. But if we could all just change our thought process, stop the judgment, and ask ourselves that one simple question: what happened to them? It could make a world of a difference. I mean, imagine the difference it can have on our education system for the children who are left behind for behavioral issues. Imagine the difference it can have on our juvenile justice system. One question, a subtle shift in the way we think, can help close that door to hurt and shame and open up new opportunities for healing and resilience. Thank you.